Hello, I'm Malcolm Cox, and this is another Tuesday teaching tip. Today we're talking about what happens when we get up at the beginning of a lesson, just before we speak, what's going through our minds, and how we deal with the difference between want to tell and need to share. Let me explain that. As we get up to speak, we're understandably nervous. And a number of us, and I've done this myself, are tempted to talk about how we're feeling before we get into the actual text or the topic about which we are speaking. And that can be rather distracting for our audience. What do I mean by that? Well, some kind of self-disclosure in our lessons is always very helpful. Some self-deprecating humor, a story told against ourselves, can be very helpful. Paul himself does this kind of thing in 2 Corinthians chapter 1, where he talks to the Corinthian church about some challenges he's been going through. We do not want you to be uninformed, brothers and sisters, about the troubles we experienced in the province of Asia. We were under great pressure, far beyond our ability to endure, so that we despaired even of life itself. Indeed, we felt we had received the sentence of death, but this happened, that we might not rely on ourselves, but on God who raises the dead. So, Paul does this self-disclosure thing quite near the beginning of his letter, but he does it for a purpose. To tell the Corinthians that they have been relying on God, that these challenges have helped him rely on God, and I suppose also to use that as a model to help the Corinthians with their reliance on God when they go through tough times. So there's a purpose to his self-disclosure that is God-focused. It's not really about him. It points more to God. And I think that's the key thing here as we think about sharing about our feelings, sharing about what's been going on through our mind just before we get up to speak. If we're going to talk about that, it has to be helpful to the congregation, the people we're speaking to, in terms of pointing them to God, not pointing them to us. Here's the thing. If we're talking about, oh, I didn't know I was doing this till last night, or I haven't had time to prepare till this morning, or I don't feel adequate, I've been too much of a sinner, I've been very busy this week, I feel a bit tired, I don't feel very well, and it's just about us, the problem then is that our audience end up thinking about us and not about God, not about the text, not about the topic, and it puts questions in their minds. Now, questions can be very helpful, but not questions that are distracting. So, if we say, I didn't know I was doing this till yesterday, that may be true, it may not have been very helpful for you, but what's the point in sharing it with the group? Because then they're thinking, why didn't he know until last night? Did he not look at his emails? Did someone not contact him? Isn't this place very organized? Those are the questions in their mind. Now, as you read the scripture, as you enter your topic, as you start to talk about what you're there to talk about, their minds are filled with this question and they're not able to listen to what you're now saying. So, the question we need to ask ourselves before we talk about what we're thinking and feeling is this helpful for pointing people towards God? The challenges we have of feeling nervous and inadequate are very real, but there are other things we can do to help with that rather than just tell the whole congregation. For example, maybe there's a song before you're up to speak. Step outside, take a deep breath, pray and say, God, thank you. I'm nervous, but thank you for bringing me here. Help me to bring your message to these people. Go back in. Or perhaps you just need to pull a friend aside and say, I'm feeling really nervous today, more than usual. Or I've just been feeling very inadequate. Share that with somebody. Pray about it with God. But when you go up to speak, when you've got this to talk about, make this the focus, not your own failings, not your own feelings. It's okay, God understands those things. And sometimes we can share those because it's helpful for all the people we're speaking to, but not just to make us feel better. So this is the test. When I'm wanting to share something and say something, is it to make me feel better? Or is it to help the congregation? Is it about me? Is it about them? Is it about God? Or really is it just about me? Am I doing this to feel better? Or am I doing this to communicate something helpful? That might be a useful filter. So let me know, what do you do when you feel nervous, when you feel inadequate, and you're getting up to stand in front of people and speak? What do you do to help you process whether something is helpful to share or not? Please let me know. Email me, mccx@mac.com, or you can leave a message anywhere you hear or see this recording. I'd like to know what people do, and I'm sure others that watch this video or listen to the audio would also love to hear how we deal with this issue of the feelings we have of I must share something, but is it actually helpful? let me know. Take care. Until the next time, I hope you have a wonderful day, and God bless.